At my MMR, I don't need slowdown perks. Or, one of my favorites, at my MMR, survivors only gen rush all of the time. Look, I think none of us really understand MMR enough to use it as a justification for what happens to us, but all of us do it anyway. But today we're going to talk a little bit about MMR, what it is, what it isn't, how I think it functions based on the information I have, because I played 50 killer matches with no perks and I got some interesting data. MMR is obviously a really complicated topic, but I think most people have a misconception of how MMR works. And so this is how I think MMR works. And this is why I think most people are super, super wrong when they say they want accurate MMR games. So I think the way MMR functions in this game is very similar to how the ranking system functioned. It's something I hear a lot, that a lot of people think that they want, oh, we should just get the old ranking system back. When I tell you the old ranking system was inaccurate as well, it was inaccurate. The amount of times that I would be a red rank survivor with green rank teammates or purple rank teammates, or a killer that's red going against all green teammates, it happened then too, I promise. You're using rose tinted glasses. All right. So when we're talking about DBD today, I think the systems are very, very similar. MMR right now, say your MMR is 1500. So you have 1500, that's your MMR. You hit Q, and then say a search bubble kind of appears around your MMR. And that bubble expands up and that bubble expands down to start to include other MMRs outside of yours at an expanding rate based on the amount of time you're in the queue. As the queue goes on, it expands further and further because it is prioritizing speed. And I think that that's the way that MMR works is, and I think it's healthiest that it prioritizes speed. What's happening there is it's saying, okay, if there's enough people around your MMR, you're going to get paired with those people. But if there's not, we're going to start pulling from above or below. And that's why you'll get some hodgepodge like, okay, this survivor's clearly a little bit not quite here, but this survivor is very good. You'll kind of see that in some of your matches, I think. And so, I think that's good. I think this speed-based matchmaking is good for the game. And we could see that in our 50 killer matches, sort of the perkless killer matches. We could see that in the data, right? The data sort of shows that we would get a 4K as one killer, and then we would get, 0 with the next killer, just like night and day what happened, We see that sort of back and forth. There's a lot of variance. It's not like we were consistently stomped or we consistently had 2Ks or consistently had 3Ks. It was pretty all over the place, that variance. And I think that variance is good for the game. I think that if I want to take Nurse's Call, Monitor, Sloppy Butcher, and Dead Man Switch into a match and try to get a 2K or a 3K, and then take that same build into the next one and get maybe a 1K, I think that keeps me on my toes. I don't expect to just walk through a team. When I was playing Dead by Daylight the other night and my MMR was godlike and I was just stomping through every survivor team, the game got incredibly boring. And it got so boring because I knew exactly what to expect. And I think that is part of the beauty of this existing speed system. I don't think we want accurate MMR. I think we do, but I don't think you want to sit in a queue time for longer to play against people who are all around your skill level for a really contentious match that is quote unquote sweatier, because that's what accurate would be. Accurate would be, all right, if you queue up for 15, you're gonna pair people that are 15. That's it. You're not, and those matches are going to be tough because your skill is equivalent to their skill. So you're not better than them, and they're not better than you. It's going to be a close match every match, right? And you're going to know kind of what to expect. And I think we want security in knowing what to expect, but I think we would burn out on that sort of always being, okay, well, I can't run whatever build I want because people are going to be good when I queue. Well, a lot of people may say, okay, then why don't we just switch it up? Why don't we just make it so that there's there's a ranked queue and there's a regular queue? And I'm going to be honest with you. I think at best, DBD has 200,000 players amongst all platforms. I think we would need far more players than we have to sustain multiple queues. So in terms of accurate MMR versus speedy MMR, I think the reason that our matches vary so widely is not intrinsically because of soft caps or things like that, but because of this expanding system and because of who's available at what time. I think player population on given servers during certain times of day also plays a huge part of it. If you are in the UK at 3 a.m., you may have so few people playing that you either get consistently just nothing but Sweatfest, or you just get this hodgepodge nightmare of like random baby survivors with random good survivors. It could go either way, and no match is really going to feel the same. I think I like that more. Of course, all of this being said, I think one of the biggest flaws I see with MMR right now is how multiple wins or multiple losses in a row don't really seem to budge your MMR up or down. And this might be because of the size of the MMR scale, but if I'm playing on PlayStation, which I was last week, and I'm playing on a relatively new account that has some time in it, but not a lot. I'm not even Devotion 1 yet. I have some killers, but I hardly have any perks. I think I have like Green Hex Ruin and, you know, some stuff like that. I think the other night I went on an 8 or 9 win streak. Several of those matches were as a trickster on a controller who couldn't aim at all. And a lot of the survivors were making baby survivor mistakes, unhooking in front of my face, never being on gens, healing just a few feet away from me, these kinds of things. And after 9 wins, my MMR didn't seem to be noticeably jumping up. I was still winning at 4 gens without camping, tunneling, none of that. So I think that there is a problem where MMR is not picking up that you are consistently winning. And you know what? I think that could solve a lot of our problems potentially with like meta, right? I think that if you are running 4 slowdown perks and you are squeezing the life out of the survivor players you're playing against because of Eruption and Brine, sure, take your 5 wins in a row. It's going to shoot you up to a higher MMR where you're going to get hopefully obliterated a little bit. And simultaneously, if you're a killer player who is taking a lot of losses and not sure how to do better, it'll drop you down a little bit so you can maybe win a match or two and not quite feel so demoralized. I think that this would be an interesting way to keep people playing the game longer. I think if you take 6, 7, 8 losses in a row, you're pretty well done for the day. But if you take a few losses and then, okay, now I get like maybe a chance at a W, I think that is good for players. Is it abusable? Is it something where people could intentionally lower their rank? I mean, sure, yeah, maybe. People already give up on first hook and DC a ton. I'm not sure how we could stop people from quote-unquote abusing the system or something of that nature, but I think at the end of the day, of course, even if you did get bumped up or bumped down with consecutive losses or wins because of the nature of the expanding MMR, the expanding search, it may not mean a lot. So I don't know. What do you guys think about MMR right now? Be honest, be truthful, and maybe do some stat tracking of your own. How often are you really winning? How often are you losing? By how much? I would be interested to hear what you have found in your own gatherings, and if you could put that in a spreadsheet, that'd be even cooler. So, and of course, if you need help with anything, if you feel stuck, if you feel like MMR, quote unquote, is pushing you down or making the game unbearably difficult to play, there might be some actual skill things that you could work on that would make your games more enjoyable, or at least maybe you could take some advice. So we do have the bootcamp and tutorial videos that are all ready for you to go. Thank you guys for hanging out here. I appreciate you, and I'll be praying to the entity to see you in the next video.